Hello beautiful people, namaste, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Louisa and I'm coming to you from another outdoor location in Queensland, Australia, which means we have to put up with cicadas. Very loud today. I have literally tried about 5 different spots to get low noise, but I'm afraid this is like the best I can do, so I just hope that it sounds okay. I'm persevering because I'm in the mood and I do like to come outside. It really helps me to connect to the earth and to connect to my galactic family in support of the messages that I offer. And you've probably noticed by now that many people who make YouTube channels like mine, honestly, we're not doing it for a subscriber list, we're not doing it for fame, we're not doing it for money. I don't make any money off these. We're just doing it because there's an impulse to share that comes from really deep inside, and I think that's because we are literally, merging into our new reality as a collective, and we're helping each other. So however you help your fellow man will be unique. For me, one of the ways that I do it is to share what I'm learning through my own journey, through my guides, and really understanding that now more than ever, what happens in your personal journey is actually a part of the collective journey as well. It always was in a sense, but I don't think ever more so than now, because we are unifying. This is part of the great shift in consciousness to a 5th dimensional level of being, which I've spoken about in some other videos. If you've never heard of that before, maybe go and check out some of my other ones. Gentle Guide to Awakening is one example. So this great shift that's happening in consciousness, we are unifying, we're coming together in a collective experience in a way that we've not had on earth before. So we're able to tune into each other, we're able to psychically connect through consciousness, so it's ethereal connection. It will eventually lead to telepathy, I have no doubt. I already am getting a lot of experiences like that, where I'm connecting to my tribe here on earth telepathically. Many of us are experiencing marked increase in synchronicities. We think of a thing and then it pops up, kind of thing. So our quantum field is literally changing, and our experience is changing as well. So yeah, if you hear things on these types of videos that are a bit odd, or you think, oh, that could never be true, please keep an open mind, because anything is possible now with the gateways, the stargates, the way they are on this planet. We're kind of going through a wormhole from one dimension to another, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's what's happening, guys. So anything goes in our new creation, and we're actually manifesting it through our consciousness, just as we've manifested this realm, only we manifested it unconsciously, and that's going to be one of the big differences with our new collective experience. So that said, what I've noticed is because we're unifying, we're tending to go through things together in a kind of a wave pattern. So periods of lower energy, apathy, feeling frustrated, feeling like hopeless, why am I here on this planet? And then quite a distinct difference to that, feelings of elation and excitement and anticipation and a lot of creativity, buzzing. You might have trouble sleeping. So these are the kind of the polarities that we're going through, the highs and the lows, and we're going like this, and the pattern's getting faster and faster. So probably about 2 years ago, I noticed that we were all going through these things, but at different times, and now it feels like we're surfing it together. So yeah, whatever you're experiencing, it is part of the collective, and you don't have to sort of feel alone in that, like you're going crazy, or why do I feel so much despair? If I have a day when I feel a lot of despair, I simply tune into the collective, and usually I find that it's actually something that I can read in the collective energy field. I'm picking it up. or else it might sometimes still be a personal trigger, something that I have to look at and resolve and shift, again in service to humanity, because we all need to do that work. We can't exist in our new earth frequency with all the shadow, with all the wounding and the trauma and the negativity and the fear that we've gotten so used to, right, in our other experience. Okay, so anyway, I'm going on a tangent. That was a bit of an introduction. The purpose of this video today, I hope you are called to watch it, to think about change and transformation in your own life, what that might mean. Now, there's change, right? We can all make changes. We can make little changes. We can stop putting sugar in our tea or something like that. Okay, small changes. We can go for a walk every day. But transformation, and I mean like deep, full transformation, that is a whole nother kettle of fish. And that's what I want to talk about today, like transformation that is essentially a death and a rebirth experience. And ultimately that is what we're moving towards collectively, right? We're dying to the old ways of being and we're birthing the new ways. And we're not going to have to die in these bodies. We stay in these bodies. It's a process that is an incarnate process. It happens whilst in the flesh, and it happens consciously and sometimes unconsciously. There are still some people on the planet who are going through this process without being aware of it yet. But once you become conscious of it, it gets a whole lot more fun, because you can start to work with it yourself and create what you want to create, rather than have that sort of created for you by your higher self. Okay, so deep change and transformation. I had an amazing dream a few nights ago, which is what I wanted to share with you today, which I think really captures the essence of this deep transformation we're going through. So what this dream was, and forgive me, I just got my little journal here with all my bits and pieces in it. So I called it, when I described this dream, I called it Great Python Dreaming, because it was a python that came to me in my dream, and python is one of my power animals, wearing my beautiful snake charm here. And power animals, sometimes you choose them and sometimes they choose you, and I would not say that I consciously chose snake or serpent as my power animal, but when I started to do shamanic practice, the animal came to me. So I have a very deep relationship with python and snake, and so that's the personal nature of this dream, but it's also one of our most powerful collective symbols in humanity. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll just describe the dream. So I might as well read it, I suppose. Last night I dreamt I was on the very top of a tall building in a city. I was with other people and we were on the roof, right? So if you imagine like a skyscraper and we're like up on the roof. My husband was with me in the dream, and he told me to look down over the edge, and I was really frightened, but a bit frightened of heights, right? And I looked down and it was kind of like, whoa, like really dizzy feeling. Then a giant python appeared on the roof. Now, when I say giant, I mean giant, like one of those kind of mythic monsters, I don't know, its head is big as a human body kind of thing. So it was a giant python, and it was chasing us, and everyone else seemed to get away except for me. So I'm like trapped now on this roof with this giant python. It was very frightening, and it was about to eat me. Okay, so that was where the dream ended. I woke up and I meditated on it, and I recommend you guys always do this when you have a powerful dream like this, because there's so much gold in it, right? So, okay, so building. What does the skyscraper represent? The skyscraper represents civilization as we know it, right? The third dimensional matrix construct that is epitomized by these enormous, quite phallic buildings that we see, right? Very concrete, very linear, very cold steel, quite ugly in my opinion. I mean, I know they can look beautiful with light glinting off them and so forth, but it's an aesthetic which is very masculine and is not balanced, right? It's very disconnected from nature as well. When you think about a skyscraper, further you get up the floors, the further you are from the earth, from your contact with Gaia herself. So the building representing civilization as we know it, and in this case the end of it, because there's nowhere else to go. It's the roof, right? There's nowhere else. There's no more floors. That's it. The fear, this was all the fears that lurk in my mind that Spirit's been coaching me to let go of. So right now I'm working a lot with my team on that, coaching me, all the time, to release this fear, to let it go. And the python, okay, so snakes represent many, many things. One of the most powerful symbols on our earth. But what I quickly captured here was spiritual teaching, so spirituality, transcendence, creative power, and primal nature, original nature. So therefore, the giant python represents my power, my spirituality, and my creativity. This inner force is literally coming to swallow me up, right? Now, after the dream, I decided to revisit it in a journey. So I go on the shamanic journeys, and anyone can do this. It's nothing amazing and special. I've made a video on how to use visualization. I called it visualization, but we also call it shamanic journeying, to explore your inner world and allow messages to come to you. So after the dream, I visited it in a shamanic journey. And I was interested to see what would happen if I actually allowed the snake to eat me, to swallow me, okay? So I did that in my shamanic journey. I just I let go of all fear and resistance, and I allowed the snake to kind of roar with its giant jaws, come right over my body. And I was sucked into the snake's stomach pipe, where I knew I would die, okay? So I'm lying in this pipe, and I say to Spirit, as I'm lying in the pipe, I say, what happens to me now? And the answer is, you become the snake, okay? You become the snake. Wow. I found that just so powerful, and it reminded me instantly of the Ouroboros, which is that snake eating its tail, which is basically the symbol that I have here, right? So I'll get to that in a minute. I'll just keep reading though, because I think I've written it and it could probably do it more justice just to read what I wrote. The dream is asking me to let go of all fear-based 3D thinking. And this is part of the old matrix represented by the building. And there is nowhere else to go in this matrix. So we must all die unto ourselves and allow the creative divine power to swallow us and transform us into our next selves. After I died inside the snake, I saw the snake / me, because remember now I am the snake, turn into an electric blue color and wrap itself around the earth. This is the metaphor of the new power that is conquering or vanquishing the dark forces on this planet and shall prevail. The snake is also the Kundalini rising of Gaia herself, made manifest in each one of us who aligns with this power and process. Oh. Okay, so electric blue snake. Wow. Now, years ago I did a plant medicine journey. For any of you who've ever done a plant medicine journey, you know that you have no control over them at all. You have to. It is like a death rebirth experience, because you surrender entirely to that journey that you're on, and it can last a long time, and it brings up a lot of things you don't want to look at. Right? It's a beautiful opportunity to resolve stuff, because there's nowhere else to run. You can't get away from it. In that particular journey, I experienced a electric blue coloured snake rising up my spine. This is the classic Kundalini, yeah, rising up my spine and fusing with the brain, the bottom of the brain. So the cerebellum, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure if that's what part of the brain it's called, but basically it was fusing the spine with the brain. And other people might understand that a lot better. I think the spine is basically the brain. The spinal cord, as far as I know, is an extension of the brain. So I remember that journey was quite terrifying, actually, as that snake crawled up my spine, but also very powerful. It was telling me that I had activated myself on a spiritual level, and probably a whole lot of other stuff that people understand the symbolism better than me, but certainly it's a very common symbol. Now, speaking of people that can explain symbols better than me, this is my Penguin Dictionary of Symbols, which travels with me for about 25 years now. It's a bit old, a bit dusty, a bit yellow, but it's a brilliant, right? It goes into all the different mythologies of all the different symbols, and it's a very, very deep book. But I just want to read a couple of lines about serpent that ties into this theme of transformation that I thought was interesting. So as they write here, serpents are serpents are as different from all animal species as the human race, but at the opposite end of the scale. If mankind may be regarded as standing at the end of a long evolutionary struggle, we must set this cold-blooded, armless, hairless, featherless creature at its very beginning. In this sense, mankind and serpents are opposite, complementary, and rivals to one another. In this sense, there is something of the serpent in all human beings, and strangely enough, in that portion of them over which they have least control. Okay, so that's that primal nature, and I think that's why people are so scared of snakes. You know, they can be so scared of snakes. I'm not, but you know, I know there's people that are terrified of them. And of course, they've also been demonized in mythology and stories, even in modern day, you know, films and books. It's the baddie's always the snake, right? We even have sayings, don't we, that person's a snake, so they can't be trusted. So of course we go to the Garden of Eden for the Christian mythology, which I think was greatly distorted, blaming everything on the poor snake. But I don't know enough about that mythology to really speak to the counter story. But I will also just read another line from this beautiful book, which says, when made visible on earth, the serpent in the instant of its manifestation is the sacred made manifest. Above and beyond this, there is a feeling that it is a continuation of the infinite materialization, which is none other than primordial formlessness, the storehouse of latency which underlies the manifest world. Yes. And I had the sense in the dream when I was swallowed by the snake, that through my egoic surrender, see, this is what the dream is about, the egoic surrender, we can then merge with the formless all that is, and become it, and therefore become all-powerful in a sense, right? This journey for humanity right now is waking up into our own power. And we cannot claim our own power, our full sovereignty, mind, body, emotional, and spiritual sovereignty, until we have essentially allowed our ego to be swallowed by that greater part of us. It's really an integration process. This is why the swallowing of the snake, the eating by the snake, is so symbolic of the way that the ego is integrated into our higher aspect. And, you know, I want to speak for a moment about the fear that this can bring up in people. And I'm assuming that perhaps you tuned into this video because, you know, the word change or transformation is something that you're playing with at the moment. You're probably being called to make deep changes, because we all are, because the whole of Gaia is going through a deep change. And like I said, change is not, it's too flippant a word. We're transforming, we're metamorphosizing, okay? We're dying and we're being reborn. So this calling is in all of us at the moment to shed And again, the snake is such a beautiful symbol of that because it's constantly shedding its skin. You know, well, not when it's constantly, it's like again and again through its life. I think every season they shed their skins, right? So we are in a cycle now where we're shedding our old skins. And we have to let go of something when we shed our skins. What is in that skin? What is that thing that's still keeping you locked in the struggle? What's that thing that's dragging you down? You know what they are. You absolutely know what they are. If you tune in and honestly ask yourself, what are the things I need to let go of before I can rise in consciousness? Maybe it's a bad diet, okay? Diet can be trivialized, but it's actually really important. Again, thinking of this metaphor of eating and swallowing, what are you consuming? What are you taking into your temple, your body? We've been trained to have and programmed through television and advertising and marketing and also some social, I want to say, damage that's been going on in the last 100 years around food. We've been trained to consume food that isn't vital. It's lacking its vital force because it's not fresh, very processed, not organic, okay? So non-organic food, it's not just about nutrient quality. It's we don't want to be consuming these artificial synthesized chemicals because every single thing is affecting us. Where do those chemicals go? They go into our bodies. They become a part of us. And they don't just affect our bodies. They don't just sit in our liver to be detoxified. They sit in our whole consciousness, our energy field. That saying, you are what you eat, right? So we've got to start to see, as we rise in consciousness, how everything is connected and how every little detail counts. So look around your life and think of the details, the things that you need to shed so that you can move forward. And for me, as I mentioned in my dream, it was absolutely about the fears that I'm carrying still. Fears around, I'm going through a stage in my life where we have to move house, and, that brings up a lot of the primal insecurities around finances and will I be looked after, and I need a home. It's survival, right? Survival fears come up when you have to move like that. Will I be able to look after my family, which is 2 cats and 3 chickens? But they're still my family. I can't end up on the street. I have a responsibility, right? So these are the fears that I'm being asked to let go of, and other fears as well. Not just that. It's also, I guess, residual fears that we're not going to make it, humanity. That our days will be dark. The mainstream media at the moment are pushing forward a dystopian narrative, and that's on purpose. That's designed to stir up fear in us that, oh my God, things are getting worse, and if you have children, you're probably quite worried for their future right now, unless you're already very expanded and you understand the much bigger picture, because we're experiencing a world of extreme contrast right now, extreme contrast. There's stories on offer that are very, very dark, okay? And there's stories that are utopian and blissful and wonderful. People will argue whether one is correct or other, but to me, I see things from an even higher perspective than that, and that is whatever you believe is the one that is the timeline then that you attract and you create. So it's not whether something is going to happen. It's whether you believe it's going to happen. What do you believe? That then becomes your reality. So many of us on the planet right now are, I suppose, guardians of the vision, guardians of the utopian vision. Maybe utopian is not the right word. I won't use it because it's got negative connotations now. I'll just say unity consciousness, guardians of unity consciousness, because I know what that means, and many viewers will know what that means. A unified field is one that is harmonious. A unified field is one that is pure loving. A unified field still has some polarity. It still has a playground to play in, so to speak, with experiences in it, but it's harmonious, right? Things go well there. You feel good there. This is where we're going. Or at least this is where I'm going, and this is where the guardians of the vision are going. You do get to choose right now, so be extremely careful what you're creating. Be discerning about your own experience and allow that which is no longer serving you, which you don't want to take with you, to fall away. Allow yourself to surrender into a new version of yourself, a higher expanded version of yourself, as symbolized by the snake. And it's about trust. It really is. It's about trust, which is why I completed that dream in my shamanic journey. I wanted to know, I wanted to know what would happen, and it was all fine. So it is going to be fine if we allow and we trust. Okay, so that's the snake journey, and I can probably leave it there. Blessings, blessings, blessings to all of you. I love my fellow humanity right now, and when I say right now, what I mean is I spend a lot of my life not loving my fellow humanity. Maybe you can understand that, right? It's hard. It's been hard to be a human being on this planet, but everything's changing, and once that kundalini rises, once the heart chakra opens, once the third eye opens, everything changes, and the love will pour out of you as it pours out of my heart to you right now, whoever you are, wherever you are, even if you're some paid troll that's trying to make negative comments. I love you, okay? Love conquers all. Hi. Blessings, beautiful beings. I'll see you in my next video.